Okay, so we finally arrived at section 5.6. If you're a person who just needs like a refresh on factoring, you basically remember it, but just kind of one example of each of the styles, then this is the right video to watch. I have a separate little 2-minute and 30-second video up for the flow chart, so I won't repeat that here, and I'll just kind of do the steps as I go through the problems. Okay, so this first one is a 4-term grouping problem from section 5.1. And so we'll cover up these two and see what the best is we can take out. So it looks like a 9 and a B. So I'll go 9B. That'll leave a 3A and an X. Once I get that 3A minus X, again, for me, I like to write that down and then figure out what I have to do to make it happen. So looking at the 3A, if I multiply that by -2, I get the 6A. And I just double check that I did everything right by distributing this back in my mind and getting that plus 2x. And our answer is 3A minus x and 9B minus 2. Next one has a GCF, so we want to get that out of the way. So it looks like we can do a 3 and x squared. So that's going to leave us x squared. 3 goes into 42 14 times. 1x left behind. And then 3 goes into 45 times. So then the GCF just comes down front. And then this has 3 terms and leads with a 1, so that makes it 5.2. Remember, that's the kind where we just sort of set up a parentheses and go what multiplies to the end and adds to the middle. So what multiplies to be 45 and adds to be 14 is going to be plus 5 and plus 9. Number 47, so this has 3 terms. It does not have a GCF. It does not lead with 1, and it does not have squares on the end, so that means we're in 5.3, or factoring by magic method. So 12 times 25 is some kind of big numbers, so I'm just going to write those up here. And then I'm going to think of this 12 as 3 times 4, see if that gets me anywhere, and then 5 times 5. So I need the 2 numbers that multiply to whatever this is and add to be 5 or are 5 apart is maybe a better way of thinking of it. And just for how I have it factored, I can see right there I got 15, and right there I have 20. So if I make the 15 negative, that'll get me to that positive 5. And then remember with magic method, we set it up as 12x, and then we just take our numbers and put them in. And then after that, we divide out I put in an extra 12, so I have to divide out 12. And looking at this first one, it looks like 3 would be convenient. And on the second one, it looks like 4 would work well. And that's just because that's sort of the biggest thing that goes into both factors. And that's the 12 we needed. So 4x minus 5, and that would be 3x plus 5. For number 48, there's a GCF of x, so I'll pull that out of the way and get 49x squared, 28x plus 4. And then this has 3 terms, but it has squares on the ends, so that makes it section 5.4. So x, and then remember these are the kind that are going to look like that. And so the 49x squared would be a 7x, and the 4 would break down to a 2. And then that double check to make sure it is what we think. 7 times 2 is 14, double it, and that's your 48 in the middle. Okay, so these next two are 2-term problems. And so notice this one with that 4 feels like it could turn into an x squared thing, but when I have the GCF in there, you really can't see what's going on. So I'm going to take out a 10x and an a. And then after I do that, I get x cubed minus 8. And then I can see that's actually a cube problem, not a square problem. So then this is section 5.5. And this is where we just break each of these down, and then we take this and fill in the trinomial piece. So remember it goes x times x, x squared, x times 2 for 2x, and 2 times 2 for 4. And then the way the signs work is, remember, they go same and then opposite and positive. And if this had been a plus, same basic format, but the first time would be plus and then minus plus. Number 50, it looks like a cube to start, but again, once I get the GCF out of the way, then I have 3x out front. That'll leave me x squared minus 25y squared. And then I can see I have a difference of squares. So 3x, and this is the one that goes a plus b, a minus b. So x plus 5y and x minus 5y. So then from here on out, these are all the matched problems that I'd have you do in class, so I'll go through them a little bit quicker. 4 terms, so 5.1 grouping, cover up these two, and we can take out an a is about it. So that'll leave me a b plus 8x. Again, I know I'm going to get b plus 8x. It's Math 95, and these are supposed to work. So if I take out a negative 10, that will make that true. b plus 8x, and then a and minus 10. The next one, so it looks like a magic problem, but again, you always want to check for GCF. Here, the least interesting number is at 21. I know 7 doesn't work with 12, but it helps me spot that a 3 will work everywhere. So I'll go ahead and take a 3 out front. And instead of having to go 12 times 21, this will be a much easier problem. So 4x squared minus 16x, and then that'll be a 7. So now I do 4 times 7, much simpler, 28. And multiplies to 28 adds to be negative 16, so it sounds like 14 and 2, and they'll both be negatives. So we do 3, 4x minus 14, and then 4x minus 2. And we have to divide out a fake 4 somewhere, so we'll do it 2 right here and 2 right there. And again, that should always work. It should always come out to the number that you put in. So if it's not, that means probably something's wrong up here in your numbers. So then final would be 3, 2x minus 7, and 2x minus 1. Okay, 3 terms, and doesn't lead with 1, doesn't have squares. That makes it magic again. So we'll do 11 times 5, and that's 55. So we need 2 numbers to multiply to 55, add to negative 56. It's the too easy, it's hard, negative 1 and negative 55. So we'll have 11x and then minus 1, 11x minus 55. And divide out the 11 right there, 11x minus 1, and this will be x minus 5. This one has 3 terms. There is a GCF going on, and I see some squares, so I think it'll end up being a 5.4. So if I get the b cubed out of the way, then I have 36x squared minus 84x, and then I'm taking 3 b's out of 4, so I'll leave 1 behind, plus 49, 3 out of 5 will leave 2 behind. And now I can see the squares on the ends, so that means we're in 5.4. And we'll just do b cubed. Remember, it's going to take, since this is a minus, it'll be a minus. The squares on the ends take this form, so double negative. And 6x, 7b. If we go 6 times 7, that's 42xb, double it, and there's our 84. Number 55, again with the GCF, so get that out of the way. So we can do a 2x out front, 4x squared minus 49. Once I get that out of there, it stops looking like a cube, and I can see the squares. So 2x comes down, and then 2x plus 7, 2x minus 7. For number 56, looks like there is a GCF going on, so we'll get that out of there. And we can do, let's see, 63, 28, so that kind of tells me it's going to be a 7, and then 7 does end up going into here. X squared, x cubed, so we could do a 7x, y cubed, y squared, y, so 7xy. Right here, that's going to leave me a 9 and a y squared. 7 goes into 84 12 times, so 12xy. And then 7 goes into this one 4 times, so 4x squared. So this problem that looked kind of terrible, now it's just squares on the ends, so it's going to be pretty easy. And that's where you just do this thing. And then 9y we break down to, 9y squared to break down to 3y, 4x squared down to 2x. And then double check again, 3 times 2 is 6, doubled is our 12. This one is just another straightforward 6-4. I can see the squares on the ends right now, so I'll just go 8x and then minus 3 quantity squared. 8 times 3 is 24, doubled for 48. Over here, if I do, I can take a 9x squared out, and that's going to give me x squared plus x minus 6, and this is a nice little 5-2 problem. So remember, those set up kind of like that. Then we just do what two numbers multiply to -6 and add to be 1. So plus 3 and minus 2. Number 59, looks like I can take out an x. And you can kind of see the cubes already. So we got two terms with cubes, so that means we're in 5.5. So this will go x, 27x cubed breaks down to 3x, 8y cubed breaks down to 2y. And we can use this to fill in the rest. So 3x times 3x will be 9x squared. 3x times 2y will be minus 6xy. Remember, first sign's positive. First sign matches, or same. Second sign opposite, last sign positive. And then 2y times 2y, 4y squared. And then here I can do GCF of 5x. And that's going to leave behind x squared plus 4x. And 5 into 60 is going to go minus 12. And then we got a 5.1 with 3 terms, leads with a 1. So 5x, we can just set up our x's. Multiplies -12, adds to be 4, so plus 6 and minus 2. So that wraps up the factoring review.